Hello there. It's time for an update on my Team Associated SC6.4 build. So we have one race under our belt so far, and man, am I impressed. We're going to go through what I did from kit, specifically, what tuning part or what option parts I put on the truck and how I have the truck adjusted. So I built the truck, I don't know, must have been November, and I took it to race number 2 of our off-road season. First thing I did, so there's a new thing happening in our off-road program, and that is on-road. So what I mean by that is there are 2 track operators in our region, and they've kind of come to a partnership where the one of the track operators from a different track, he goes in on Friday night, has his people, his guys who he races with normally over at his place. They set up the track, and we run carpet on road. So they're doing all kinds of different things. They're doing Mini Beat Open. They're doing that Losi NASCAR thing, and various types of touring car. So I went out there that last Friday night, specifically just to get some practice with this truck, get my pit table set up so I didn't have to set it up in the morning. And I decided to pay the entry fee for the privilege of being able to set up my pits the night before. And I threw my Mini B on the track, spec Mini B against open Mini Bs, and didn't actually, didn't do too horrible. I think I finished top 3 in one of the qualifiers, but really my focus was to get this on the track. So what I did with this, the way that I built it, mostly box stock setup, because there's some geometry changes from the 0.1 and the 0.2, so I didn't want to put my full-on setup from my 0.1 and 0.2 days. So it was mostly kit setup. I went out on, I just threw the truck on the track with Proline tires. Proline wedges up front and prisms in the back, and it was good. Better than my SC6.1, SC6.2, but I was getting traction roll in the corner. I was rolling over a little bit. So without making any changes, then I went out on these tires. These are J Concepts tires. These are, what do they even call their front tire? Swaggers? And fuzz bites in the back. Pink compound front and back. And didn't like it. So brought it back. Because tires first, right? Doesn't matter, a great setup isn't great with bad tires. But good tires can take a bad setup a long way. So I'm a firm believer in tires first. So brought the truck back in, put the Proline tires back on, and then tried to get it to stop traction rolling in the corners. So mostly, really, all I did was some roll center adjustments. I didn't have any springs to change. I knew the oil was heavy enough. I didn't want to remove any rear traction because, unlike my other SC6.1, SC6.2, it cornered really well, but it seemed to lack some forward traction. And I say that because I was unable to nail a lot of the doubles on the track. So I decided to leave the pills alone and not try and remove any toe. No, I didn't want to change the anti-squat. I thought maybe I would keep the pills the same but lower the roll center by moving the rear pins up in the C and D block, bringing the chassis down and changing the roll center. I didn't have to get there. So let's see. I can't remember exactly. Other than the roll center change, I really didn't do anything too crazy. Let's go through it from front to back, and I'll tell you what kind of setup we've got going on here. Up front. So up front, let's start with the roll center. Oh, I did some camber gain changes. That's right. The truck out of the box had shorter camber links than what I currently have. So I'm running the ball stud on the inside on the ball stud mount, front ball stud mount. So that lengthened the the camber, the tie rod, by moving it in. So affected the camber gain. -2 camber on on all 4 corners actually. But so I've got, and remember, if you change your roll center, you've got to recheck your camber. If you change your camber length, your tie rod, obviously your camber is going to change, because if you've got -2 with a short rod and you go to a long rod, all of a sudden your front wheel is going to be a whole pile of negative camber. So that one will be a glaringly obvious. You'll see that and you'll correct it. No ball stud washers. I started off with whatever the kit called for on the front ball studs, the inside front ball studs, and whatever it was, in the end, I ended up with no ball stud washers underneath the front ball studs. So when you lower the inside ball stud, you raise the roll center. And another way of saying that is you increase the roll resistance. In other words, you make it more difficult for the vehicle to roll in the turns, for the center of gravity to shift to the outside wheel. When you lower the ball stud on the inside, you raise the roll center, also raising the roll resistance, ergo making it harder for the vehicle to roll in the corners. I'm on the JC rubber. I had chased this setup a little bit, and I decided to, this Hail Mary, I don't know what else to try. So I'm going to put the JC rubber back on. And doing so, all of a sudden, completely, I don't know if the track came in, if the truck was a bit more broken in. I don't know how to explain it. But the first time I went out on JC rubber, I didn't like it. It didn't perform as well as the Pro Line, so I went back to the Pro Line. Right before Q1, I had an opportunity Saturday morning to get a couple of practice laps in, put the JC tires on, and oh my God, it was money. Planted, just completely planted. No more rolling over in the corners. Gobs of steering, but not oversteering. On demand steering when I needed it. Power through the corners. You can stay on the gas to get through the corners without rolling over. Just fantastic. All of a sudden, the JC tires were money. One thing I did different with the JC tire, as opposed to the Proline tire, I did not glue the sidewall on the Proline tire, but I did on the JC tire. I used Bob Smith thin CA, super thin. It's the blue, and I brought it right up to the first row of staggered pins on the Swagger. Towards the end of the day, that CA was looking pretty sick. It was flaking off, and I don't know if it was because I didn't clean the tire well enough, because I didn't use enough CA, or because I used the wrong CA. So got them home, put more thin on, and then actually put some medium on, and they are stiff. Had to rebalance them, obviously. I threw a bunch of weight on the outside edge of the tire, so I put them on my J Concepts tire balancer and rebalanced them. Okay, still on the front end, J Concept tires, glued firewall, long camber lengths, raised the roll center by lowering the inside ball stud all the way down, 0 shims whatsoever. Shock placement, shock package, blue truck spring, and the lowest spring cup. I apologize, I can't tell you if there are shims in there. You can consult the manual, because I built them as per the manual. So if there are shims, it's because the manual told me to. If there are no shims, it's because the manual did not tell me to add shims. That's a later experiment thing. And of course, the sway bar is the orange from the B64. I'm not talking two-wheel drive. I'm talking the older, discontinued 10th scale 4-wheel drive off-road car, the B64. Front sway bar orange. That's what I've got on this truck. That's what I've had on all of my short course trucks. Steering is the factory team aluminum, both the rack and the cranks. It's not the +3 one from the 0.2 or from the 0.3 series of cars. It's made specifically for the 0.4 series of cars. I have an aluminum 25 tooth servo arm on the servo. The servo. I've got expensive servos. I got expensive micro servos or compact servos. that are high speed, high torque, etc., and so on, but they're light. So I decided, believe it or not, I've never had a $20 Amazon 20 kg servo fail. I've used high-speed servos on carpet and have to turn them down. So it's like, why am I spending $130 on a high-speed servo and not utilizing it to its fullest potential because it's too much steering or too fast or too responsive for my skill set on carpet? That's dumb. $20 Amazon servo, all metal gears, but it's also a full-size servo. And why did I want a full-size servo? Because no one rides for free. Trying to get some more front weight bias with a small servo would require adding weight to the car, or I could use a regular size servo, just a standard size servo, and throw that in there, and that's going to add some weight to the front of the car, along with the steel chassis plate underneath the servo. Seems to be a nice, happy medium. I forgot to talk about shock placement. So the front shocks are outside. That means I'm in the outside hole in the tower, and I'm in the outside hole on the arm. I'm using the J Concepts titanium top shock mounts, and the reason why is they have a Delron bushing in there that you can replace. The aluminum ones that come with the associated kits, they wear out pretty quickly, so I'm a real big fan of these J Concepts titanium shock standoffs. Okay, so there is a 1mm ball stud washer on the steering rack. The bump steer washer, there are none. There are no bump steer washers on the steering knuckles. Is that everything on the front end? Shocks, blue spring, 42 weight oil, titanium shock standoffs from J Concepts, short ball cup, short spring cup, like the lowest, the 0, long turnbuckles, no ball stud washers on the front ball stud mount raising the roll center, no bump steer washers, factory team aluminum rack, 1mm ball stud washers on the rack, full size servo. Okay. Battery position as we move back towards the car. I've got the battery position. It's a 2S R1 Works high volt 62. Yes, can I help you? Where'd you go? Oh, hi Steve. Sorry, Tabby. Orange cat problems. Yep, it's a 6200 R1 Works high volt pack. It's put all the way forward. I went out with a 43 gram brass weight under the battery. It was not bad. But I want to see if I could get away with lighter and still have good low center of gravity performance. So I went back out with the 23 gram brass weight. These are from Team Associated. I mean, everybody, electronics or whatever, I don't think they're as important as your setup. But if you're curious, I'm running a Hobo Quick Run 10BL 120 amp speed control. It's the G2, which has boost and turbo timing or whatever. Don't even know. Never learned that stuff. An antennaless R304SBE receiver. I'm probably gonna steal that for my pan car. That's another video that's coming. Motor, not that I thought that I needed a 7-turn, but 7-turn was all that was in stock. So normally I run an 8.5 in my trucks, but I went with a 7. I like it. Aluminum 21 tooth pinion on a 78. Whatever the manual says for gearing, that's what I go with. And then if my motor temps are hot, I'll go down a tooth. I did go with the B74 slipper spring. It's a much heavier spring, and as opposed to the smaller one for dirt. I mean, I don't know. That's just the way I run them. I run the lighter one on dirt and the heavier one on carpet because of traction. Now we're at the rear shocks. The J Concepts titanium shock standoffs again. Springs, truck gray. The shock oil is probably anywhere between 35 and 37. I started doing this before I think the kit started doing it. I put a 20 millimeter set screw into the arm, and then I put a flange lock washer to hold the shock to the arm. Again, I'm using the short ball cup. Ball cup? No, not the ball cup. It's the Zero spring cup and the shortest shock eyelet, shock cup, ball cup. You know, the thing with the ball. Jeez, that you screwed in the arm. Sorry. I take pride in using the correct terminology in these things. And if I was listening to this video, I'd be screaming at my monitor or my phone or whatever. Factory arms, soft, not running any hard parts on this truck whatsoever, or HD or carbon or whatever, just whatever came out of the box. And it's fine. The aluminum C&D block. We'll talk about the pills in a second. I'm running a T6, SC6, whatever, rear sway bar, blue, which I believe is 1.3 millimeter maybe. That's the blue one. Ball stud locations on the rear ball stud mount. Again, I've gone with long camber links, and I've gone with 0 ball stud washers underneath the rear ball studs. Again, raising the roll center, raising the roll resistance. Okay, the pills. I am all the way out, front and back. Yep. So the pills, I'm in the center. The little dot, if you're not familiar, there's these plastic inserts that go into the C block and the D block, and your rear suspension hinge pins go in there, and they control the amount of toe and anti-squat that the truck will have. So with the pills in the center and both of them all the way out, that is giving me, stand by. Now, it's going to take too long to look up, but you can look that up. You go in the manual of the B6, not the B6, the SC6, SC6.4, and I don't even have that on here right now. Set up sheets. Yeah, sorry. I apologize. This video is being made on the fly. I was supposed to be making a pan car video, and I started talking about short course. So I thought, hey, that means it's time for a short course update video. So again, the pills in the C&D block. The little dot is in the middle, because I say that because you can go up into the corners, you can go down in the corners, or you can stay in the center of the pill itself. So I'm middle outside front, middle outside rear. So what else we got here? That's it. Still the stock bearings. I do have ceramic bearings in the mail from A-Main. Now that our communist government has forced a legal striking Canada Post to go back to work. Unfortunate for them, but fortunately for me, that means my A-Main orders will start to move again. Gear diff. There we go. Gear diff. So the gear diff has been upgraded with the aluminum cover, which is supposed to help seal it better, prevent leaking. It has the aluminum cross pins in there as opposed to the one-piece molded plastic cross pin setup, and around 5,000. You know, our carpet track is not super high bite, so 5,000 seems to work. It is, however, something I'm going to experiment with. I have multiple gear diffs ready to be built, so I don't like to tear things apart at the track. I'd rather pull out the entire diff and go, okay, now it's time to try a 10K. Oh, now it's time to try a 15K. So I understand perhaps that's a bit overkill, but it certainly makes things very quick and efficient trackside when you're replacing an entire diff as opposed to letting the old diff oil drip out and put fresh stuff in. So that's all I got, guys. Oh, results. So in Q1, I put the entire field down by 3 laps. Now, to be fair, there were only, out of 7 of us, there were only 3 race kits. 2.5, because one was a techno abortion thing. It was just horrific. Right, William? You know you did. You know you did. And then there was my good friend Pat. He was running an SC6.2 with my setup on it. I think his ride height needs a little bit of tweaking. Other than that, I mean, he was very smooth with the truck, and the truck was good, and he performed well. William had some kind of techno thing. Really, just a ridiculous thing. I don't even know how to explain it. Everything was sitting over the front wheels or something. I don't know what it was. Some techno light thing. Anyway, he's quite insistent that he can make that work. So Q1 put everybody down by 3 laps. Q2 put everybody down by 2 laps. And then Q1 3, Q2 2. I don't know about Q3. And in the main, she was rough. I went from turning 20 laps to only turning 19 laps, and I think most of the field actually finished on the same lap as me. So the truck was great. The traffic was bad. I made some mistakes. It is what it is. I still won. I gotta say, this truck right out of the box, being mostly box stock with the exception of maybe the oil, that front sway bar, it was just so much better than my SC6.1 and M.2. It was just easier to drive. Before the day was over, I was ordering more of these J Concept tires because I love them, but unlike the Pro Lines, they do wear out. I mean, yeah, the Pro Lines wear out too, but you can go an entire carpet season where I race on Pro Lines before you replace them. I've tried JC tires on buggies and Schumacher tires on buggies, and then they're good, but they don't last. So, but tires is not where you cut corners to save money. That is for sure. So that's all I got, guys, for this update. Race number 2 of the season is in the books. I missed race 4, but I certainly made up for it in race number 2 with a TQ and a win. So it's typically a point series. I have no reason to suspect it's not a point series again. And I hope you enjoyed that. This is my setup. There are many like it, but this one's mine. If you have any questions, please, by all means, post them down below. And if I can answer them, I will. If I can't answer them, I will make something up. Bye for now.